We have an official hitch in the giddy up. Happy Friday. Oh, the streaming software guys had me change my resolution. So when I went to play that video for you that I normally play at the beginning with the upbeat music and all that good stuff, and we're still dropping frames. And I couldn't access the button to play it. So anyway, this is getting old. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast, that's our live training room. That's reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1 week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1 week free trial, go to mytradingiq.com. At the top of the page, there's a link. Click it, fill out the form, hit submit. We'll get your indicators indicating today, get you all set up. You'll have the weekend to get familiar with the indicators, and then your trial will officially start Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, and run all the way through Friday afternoon of next week at 5 p.m. Eastern. Now, when the live training room ends each day, we take a 30-minute break and come back for the afternoon broadcast. This broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet connected device. There's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast live. And considering the trouble we've had with our streaming software lately, I really recommend you use this method. You only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link. Fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. Not only will that get you in today, where you'll have access to the question box, but every trading day going forward, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there will be a link. At 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform, where there won't be a hitch in the giddy up. Okay? Oh, man. As you can see on the screen. Oh, the other way you can join is to go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CFRN. It's easy to remember. You already know the YouTube part, /CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day, as we're doing right now, simulcasting or attempting to, we archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,600 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. youtube.com/CFRN. Okay, this is our schedule each and every day. Devotional, word of prayer, some news, recap of the alerts. Michael will join us about 50 minutes into the broadcast, give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. And then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform for about 30 minutes from 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching this after the fact and you just want to see the live trading part, you can fast forward an hour into the broadcast. And then I'll wrap things up with our good word for the day. All right, hobbled as we are, let's get going. The topic of our devotion for the past week has been going deeper, meeting the Messiah in John chapter 1 through 4. Today's day 6 of day 9, and I'm going to be honest, I've really enjoyed this particular devotional. Our scripture today is John 3, verses 22 through 36. And I'll be sharing with you from the Message translation. After this conversation, Jesus went on with his disciples into the Judean countryside and relaxed with them there. He was also baptizing. At the same time, John was baptizing over at Emini near Salim, where the water was abundant. This was before John was thrown into jail. John's disciples got into an argument with the establishment Jews over the nature of baptism. They came to John and said, "Rabbi, you know the one who was with you on the other side of the Jordan? The one you authorized with your witness? Well, now he's competing with us. He's baptizing too, and everyone's going to him instead of us." John answered, "It's not possible for a person to succeed. I'm talking about eternal success without heaven's help. You yourselves were there when I made it public that I was not the Messiah, but simply the one sent ahead of him to get things ready. The one who gets the bride is by definition the bridegroom. And the bridegroom's friend, his best man, that's me, in place at his side where he can hear every word, is genuinely happy. How could he be jealous when he knows that the wedding is finished and the marriage is off to a good start? That's why my cup is running over. This is the assigned moment for him to move into the center while I slip off to the sidelines. The one who comes from above is head and shoulders above other messengers from God. The earthborn is earthbound and speaks earth language. The heavenborn is in a league of its own. He sets out the evidence of what he saw and heard in heaven. No one wants to deal with these facts, but anyone who examines this evidence will come to stake his life on this, that God himself is the truth. The one that God sent speaks God's words. And don't think he rations out the Spirit in bits and pieces. The Father loves the Son extravagantly. He turned everything over to him so he could give it away. A lavish distribution of gifts. That is why whoever accepts and trusts the Son gets in on everything. Life complete and forever. And that is also why the person who avoids and distrusts the Son is in the dark and doesn't see life. All he experiences of God is darkness, and an angry darkness at that. Again, that was John 3, verses 22 through 36 from the Message translation. At the center of this section of John's Gospel, we come back to someone we met earlier, John the Baptist, and back to the wedding theme we saw on day 3 of this devotion. Jesus and his followers are in the countryside, baptizing people who come to him, dipping them in water as a sign of turning back to God, a symbol of sins being washed away. John is also baptizing, but his disciples are having a bad day. With people now going to Jesus, they are worried that Jesus, that man, is taking away John's job. We might expect John the Baptist to be upset, but that couldn't be further from the truth. John points out that he has always said he wasn't the Messiah. John's job was to prepare people for what was coming, to make straight the way for the Lord. John then explains what he means by getting us to picture a wedding. The bride, God's people, belong to the bridegroom. And that's not John. John's just the best man. The friend who helps the bridegroom, Jesus. Far from being disappointed that Jesus is getting all the attention, John is full of joy. The bridegroom in his rightful place. Just as it would be strange for the best man to grab the bride for the first dance at the wedding, or stand next to the bride in all the photos. So John knows this is not about him. As Jesus becomes greater, John steps back. We're also told that it's right that this happens because Jesus is totally unique. Jesus is the one who has come from above, from heaven. This gives him ultimate authority in what he says. Unlike anybody else, when Jesus speaks about heaven, he's telling us what he's seen for himself. Jesus has the right to speak the way he does, and the consequences of listening to him are life-changing. If we believe in Jesus, we are given eternal life. If we reject Jesus, God's wrath remains on us. John says, whoever, when it comes to the words of Jesus, our response to him really is the difference between life and death. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we echo John's words. He must increase, but I must decrease. Help us to make more room for you in our hearts and lives, knowing that all we have comes from your hand. May we be faithful witnesses to the love and truth of Jesus Christ, who gives eternal life to all who believe. Let our lives magnify your glory and point others to your grace. We continue to pray for those affected by the recent hurricanes. Bring comfort to the grieving, strength to the weary, and hope to the discouraged. We continue to lift up the Middle East to you, praying for an end to the conflict and suffering. Protect the innocent. Bring healing to those affected by violence, and soften hearts that seek vengeance. And as the upcoming presidential election approaches, we ask for your hand over this process. Grant wisdom to voters and integrity to officials, and ensure that every part of the election is carried out fairly and honestly. May your justice and righteousness prevail, and may the outcome honor you and promote the common good. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen. Happy Friday. Let me give you the numbers. German finance minister warns of retaliation if U.S. kicks off trade war. I'm sorry, Germany, did you forget who helped rebuild your country? That was totally decimated because of your leader. No, America's done that throughout history. We get in a war, we win. What do? We help them rebuild. And now the German finance minister warns of retaliation. That just crossed my screen. I'm still going to give you the numbers. Hang on. All right. Starting in the U.S. with the cash markets or the indices, the Dow's down 82 points. NASDAQ is up 222 points. It's 1.25%. S&P 500 is up 29, and the Russell 2000 is up 3.5. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $1.26, trading 71.54 45 last. That's a gain of almost 2% or $1,300 per contract traded. Somebody just texted me, is this Eleanor's work number? I'm not even gonna. Gold up 40 cents, trading 27.49.30 last. Silver up 14 cents, make that 13 cents, trading 33.92 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei down 229 points, Shanghai up 19, Hang Seng up 100 points. In the European markets at the close, FTSE down 20, DAX up 20, the CAC down 5. Not a lot of movers and shakers today. All right, let's do the news. Israeli strikes across Gaza have killed at least 59 people over 2 days, including 17 who were reportedly, I'm doing air quotes, seeking shelter at a school. Don't get me started on the whole human shield thing. The strike comes a week after Israeli forces killed Hamas military head leader Yahya Sinwar, and as the militant group continues searching for a successor. Meanwhile, U.S. and Israeli negotiators are expected to travel to Qatar's capital, Doha, this weekend to renew stalled talks over a ceasefire and hostage release deal. Lord help them. Get it right. Game 1 of the World Series begins tonight on Fox at 8 p.m. Eastern. In Los Angeles, as the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers, the league's two largest teams by market, face off in a historic championship for the 12th time. Current betting odds give the Dodgers a slight edge in what many commentators are calling a toss-up. Lucy Letby, a former British neonatal nurse convicted of murdering 7 infants and attempting to murder 7 others, has lost her bid to appeal her conviction. The case has become the subject of growing scrutiny, with some experts questioning the evidence used to convict her. The prosecution claimed she killed the babies using different methods, including the injection of air into the bloodstream and poisoning them with insulin. However, a recent article highlighted potential flaws in the prosecution's case, suggesting questions about the evidence may have been overlooked. The article argues the prosecution relied heavily on a chart showing Letby's presence during suspicious events, which did not account for other factors affecting the mortality rates. Some experts have noted the evidence was largely circumstantial, with no one directly observing Letby harming a baby, and have questioned the validity of her alleged confession note. This former nurse, who has maintained her innocence throughout the entire deal, is currently serving 15 life sentences. Well, if she's guilty, good. If she's not, in prison everybody says they're innocent, right? Or at least that's what I've seen on the TV and the movies. But some are actually innocent. And if you watch CSI, the progress we've made with DNA, they've been able to arrest and convict people who committed crimes 15, 20 years ago. If you did something shady way back in the way back, you better be think twice about sending your DNA into one of those genealogy places, that tells you you're part Yiddish and part, or part Jewish and part whatever, and part this and part that, and all that stuff. And it tells you people that you're related to that you might not even know. Uh, my wife gave me that for a gift, Christmas gift, several years ago. And once a month we get an email, and there's all these people that I'm related to, according to the DNA. I never heard of, but that's okay. She knew I had nothing shady in my background before she sent that in. Intel will invest more than $28 billion to construct 2 new chip factories in Ohio, the company said on Friday, in its latest step to build out its contract manufacturing business and better compete with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. That's the symbol for Taiwan Semiconductor, which we often look at during this broadcast. Shares of the troubled chip firm rose nearly 2% in early trading. The stock has slumped more than 55% this year, and as we speak, Intel's up 3.5%. Go Intel. Okay, the stock market today. U.S. stocks rose this morning as Treasury yields tipped lower. But markets were still on track for weekly losses as uncertainty over the Fed's next move shadowed an earnings season that is in full swing. Stocks are reviving somewhat as a pullback in U.S. bond yields lifted some recent pressure on risk appetite. The benchmark 10-year yield slipped to around 4.19%, easing back from a 3-month high above 4.25% hit midweek. Apple. You're not going to believe this. This is Bloomberg. Expectations for a broad rebound across Apple Incorporated's businesses are unrealistic, according to KeyBank Capital Markets. Analyst Brandon Nispel downgraded the tech giant to underweight from sector weight, viewing assumptions that the company will record its highest growth in more than 3 years, along with a major inflection across its business as aggressive. The broker has become bearish for the first time since initiating coverage 3 years ago. Among analysts tracked by Bloomberg, the stock now has 39 buy equivalent recommendations, 18 holds, and 3 sells. Nispel's new established price target of $200 ranks among one of the lowest on the street and implies a 13% downside compared to Thursday's close. However, we're up almost 1% on the day. Go figure. New Mexico, the second largest oil producing state in the U.S. Did you know that? Now I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that. New Mexico, second largest oil producing state in the U.S., is studying new restrictions on drilling that would hit up to 5.4% of its future crude output and result in billions of dollars in lost revenue. Now, that was said in a report this week by the state's chief economist. The study examined proposed setbacks or restrictions on how close operators can drill to certain structures and environmental areas, which are intended to protect the public from oil and gas pollution. The setbacks evaluated in the report would take effect in 2026 and result in more than a third of new wells not being put into production. That would amount to roughly 12.5 million barrels of oil output lost in the first year and around 35 million barrels by the early 2030s. Well, depends on who wins the election. If it goes one way, New Mexico's in the toilet, and you're going to pay a whole lot more for gas. If it goes the other way, no, things might turn out different. Now, I jokingly said the other day when President Trump was handing out French fries and Happy Meals at McDonald's, I said, let's see how they managed to turn this on him. The number of people infected by the E. coli outbreak tied to McDonald's quarter pounder hamburgers increased to 75 from 49, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Of the 61 on whom information was available, the health regulator said 22 people have been hospitalized. 2 of them have developed hemolytic uremic syndrome, a serious condition that can cause kidney failure. Now, nowhere in the article does it actually blame Trump. But, I mean, come on. In what world does a presidential candidate work at McDonald's for a half hour, whatever, and then suddenly the next day, McDonald's has an E. coli outbreak? I'm not pointing any fingers. Or maybe I am. You don't know because you can't see my hands. But I better stop there before I get in trouble. Well, I have good news. And our hearts and prayers and thoughts are with the families of all those and the individuals who've been infected. That part of it is no joking matter whatsoever. Logic 247 is our 24/7 around-the-clock Emini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude and gold and silver and bonds. Over the last 325 weeks, we've issued over 18,100 individual handcrafted alerts. And we've averaged on a weekly basis 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, what trader in their right mind wouldn't want to know that simple method? I don't know. Anyway, Valerie did the recap at 6:30 a.m. Eastern this morning, so the markets have made some big moves, so when she finalizes the recap for the week this afternoon or maybe tomorrow morning, they'll be posted in the proper channels in Logic 247. And when a week ends, every one of these alerts becomes part of the public domain. You can see every alert that was issued and exactly what happened. So, since the market opened Sunday night, this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, up through 6:30 a.m., we issued 78 alerts. That's kind of a big week. It always has to do with market activity. But there'll be more because I put out, I don't know, 4 or 5 this morning. At the time of the recap, 3 never triggered. Still waiting on the outcome of 18. That left us with 57 actionable alerts, of which 5 or 9% would have been stopped out, again based on market structure and that very simple process that we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, the purpose of the logic alerts is not to just trade so you don't have to learn how to trade. I mean, you can trade them, but that's not the point. Okay, I mean, they're very tradable, otherwise we wouldn't have these results. But the real purpose is to teach you how to read a chart. Okay, where you should expect resistance, where you should expect support, how to ferret out windows of opportunity. Okay, that's the reason, okay, for the alerts, to help you learn how to read a chart, because until you can read a chart, it's doubtful that you're ever going to learn how to trade. So please use them as intended. Now, if you're new, never tuned in before, imagine that. Let me show you real quick. I got to do this real quick, so I'm running out of time. Oh Lord, there's so many of them. Big week. Okay. All right. We're in week 325. Last week, week 324, we had a total of 68 alerts, 14 never triggered, 54 actionable, 9 stopped out, or 17%. Again, the average is 20% or less. So, this one put out Sunday night. I think that's triggered now, right? Based on what happened today. Well, I'll have to check. Value will update it. But see, every alert has an entry price. This was to buy 59.17. Initial target 59.19. That's 2 points. That's your goal for the day. You can stop right there, put your mouse away. The next target was at 59.25, then 59.27, then 59.35, then 59.80. You know what? We'll just peek real quick. Now I got to bring the other thing back up because I forget. 59.17 to 59.19. No, I guess it still hasn't triggered. Okay, so that one will go down in history as untriggered. But let's go back. But you get the idea. Entry, buy, initial target, second target, third target, fourth target, final trade, 2 target. Now we had a hedge on the ES, and there's 2 points for the day. This is one never triggered. I guess she figured never going to get there. Hedge on the YM, thumbs up. S means sell. T means initial target. Here's another Russell. Yep, market ran the other way. So I guess that one, that's not going to trigger. When you see Z's, that means never triggered. Okay, then we had a long on the NQ, and we had a short on the NQ. No trigger here. We had a long on crude. The idea is to buy 69.75 at 69.85. You can take your profit and be done for the day. If you're the guy that likes to stick around, there's the second target, the third target, the fourth target, the fifth target, and the final trade 2 target. Gold by 27.41. Initial target 27.42. Now, the final trade 2 target was 27.50. At the time Valerie did the recap, price had already made it up to 27.51. So from 41 to 51, that's $1,000 per contract traded. We also had a short on gold. And thumbs up means good news. Bond short. Bond long. No trigger yet. Silver long. Silver short. B is buy. NQ long. Sell the NQ. See, that's the beauty of futures. You can be long and short in the same hour, if that's what the chart tells you to do. When you see a red X, that means it got stopped out. This was accrued. Okay. Now, if you go look at this trade, I bet you price backed up and actually did the deal, but we only record the first trigger. Okay. It's just too complicated because once an alert triggers, there's an extremely high probability that it's going to trigger multiple times. Short on gold, short on silver, long on the NQ, short on crude, short on crude. Oh, that's short on crude. Sorry, short on silver. Long on silver. Short on the ES, short on the Russell. I'm just going to stop here for the sake of time. Again, once the week closes out, all of this becomes public information. During the course of the week, it's only for members and trial members. All alerts remain valid opportunities until a valid trigger entry happens. So like that one we had at the very top up there, that will remain a valid alert until price reaches 59.17. Now that could be a week from now, it could be a month from now, it could be a year from now. It'll still be a valid opportunity. Okay. Now it could trigger 59.17 and then reverse at 59.18. That would be a stop out. But if it travels the distance, well, then it won't get a thumbs up because the week will be over. But you would be well served to keep a copy somewhere of trades that don't trigger this week, because there's a good probability they may trigger next week. They remain valid. Okay. All right, I spent a whole lot of time on that, but I want to make sure you know exactly what a logic. Oh, and the alerts come out well ahead of them actually triggering. Sometimes hours, sometimes a day. Okay. How's that possible? Reading the chart. Spotting the windows of opportunity. Our original, now the logic alerts come out around the clock. 24/7. Could be 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. But our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, they're different. They don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report shortly after the Globex open. And I was alerted this morning that I got dyslexic on the NQ. It should have been 20436, not 20346. So you'll see it when we go to the chart. If you're a member or trial member, make sure you read this. This is very important. It tells you what these mean and what you should do. Last night, when the Globex market opened at 6 p.m. Eastern, that's the beginning of the Friday session, all members and trial members had every one of these targets right at the open. Okay? Now, we'll go to the daily chart, where we have an interesting development. When the markets opened last night, we got red and falling. We know that's bearish. Price ran right up to it on the news this morning. And see, red and falling was also right at that 50% fib extension, where we've had resistance, 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 and now resistance. We dropped all the way to the 38% fib extension. We spiked it a little bit. We already, remember, pull back to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. And we got quite a bounce. We're looking at a daily chart. That's quite a few points. Around 58. We're at 59.01. Now the bounce, if you just calculate it from here, is 58.26. 75-point bounce, but we ran into resistance. So now price has to overcome resistance, and this is resistance times 2. The green lines, the BBC, stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. When price gets below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. Higher prices, lower prices, higher prices. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't. When we pulled up from below, it held. And then when we pulled from above, the pullback held and it held. We know eventually it'll trade through. And then the pullback held. And then we got a leg and the pullback held. Okay, get the idea? Pullback holds more often than not, and once again, it is held. But price is now pinched between very important support and very important resistance. How we close today. If we close near the high, that will be bullish, but I'd still be careful because right here is your all-time historic high. Okay. If we close near the low of the day, well, that's a whole different story. That means institutional traders were not convinced enough to take it home over the weekend. Now, I recommend no matter what you trade, stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, look at the daily chart for 2 minutes before you start trading on whatever time frame you trade on. Okay? Institutional traders look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. It has to do with account size. Okay? Because of their account size, they trade an incredible size. So they're the ones who literally move price. So no matter what you trade, if you'll just spend 2 minutes looking at the daily chart, you can see what the deep pockets are doing. It's a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets. That's pretty awesome. And we knew to expect resistance here. Okay? And we know where to expect support at the low of the day and then the BBC. So not only are you seeing what the deep pockets are doing or not doing, okay, you're able to identify. See, on your smaller range chart, you don't know that the all-time historic high is 59.27 and a quarter, right? You don't know that the 24% fib retracement is at 57.28. That's the shallowest possible fib retracement. Okay. Now I may change the fibs on Monday and make this right now the low on the fibs is April 19th. But I thought about this yesterday. I may change it to this low. Okay. What was the price of that low? 50.84. And if I change it, the low was 51.69. 50.84 to 51.69. So it'd be about an 80-point difference. So we would then connect this low to this high. That would give us a different set of fibs. The fib extensions will remain the same because we just changed those recently from this low to this high to this low. Same 14th century math that you use for retracements can also project where the market will find resistance in the future. Like here, 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 here. All right. Okay. The vertical lines separate today Friday from yesterday Thursday. Back here is Wednesday. When price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance. When it drops to a zone, we expect support. 70% of the time when price reaches a weekly zone, you're going to have consolidation. It could be two candle consolidation, or it could be like this, hours. 20% of the time you'll get rejected. 10% of the time price will slice through the zone like it's not even there. So here's where we opened last night. Now I drew in these two windows of opportunity yesterday. I said by the time we do the live broadcast tomorrow, one of the windows will have filled. This one. Okay. Now, if you're paying close attention, you're going to go, well, wait a minute. That kind of got into the window. Kind of did. This one just did perfect, right? So how do you weed these out? With your smaller time frame. Okay. That's why I've been preaching this for years. You need a 30-minute chart of whatever you're trading and the range chart that you're executing on. Okay. You find out where your windows of opportunity are. So if you took this, if you traded this candle right at the tippy top, you got to stop out. But if you traded this one, home run. Okay. Not that we're trying to hit home runs, but you got to make sure you go here like a roadmap to define your windows of opportunity. Okay. And as you see price on your smaller time frame approaching the window, you wait for a proper setup. Okay. And that proper setup might have got you in way down here and took you way up here. So we hit the long target. We traveled through this zone. Now we sliced through it, but then we pulled back to the zone and continued in the direction of the slice. That's how the slice works. And these are the zones that were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zone since December 14th of 2009. This December will make 15 years. Okay. Now, you see this guy down here? I don't talk about this much, but prices are headed lower. Anyway, so we come just shy of the zone, which we expect to be resistance. We got up to 5,900.75. So we missed it by a point and a quarter. 5 ticks. Missed it by 5 ticks. Okay. When the market finds resistance, it's going to go look for support. When the black step line crosses blue and climbing, that tells you price is probably going to retrace back to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not, but once it trades through, then look what happened. The pullback held from below, and it held, and it held. So we finally got back above, and it held. This time it didn't hold because we had a candle open and close below. We don't claim to be perfect. Consolidation can also look like this. Okay, looks like that. So once price got above the BBC and you've got blue and climbing, I call that the perfect stack. Okay, so getting along, in this area, just took it right up to the target, and it ultimately filled that window as well. Okay, so what do we expect now? We expect this red candle to come down and touch the BBC. If it holds, then we'll look for long opportunities. If it closes below, then I would suggest most likely waiting for price to get down here. But look here where this bullish cross is. When you have a bullish cross, the blue line gets above the green line. That leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. You're going to want to remember that next week. Okay? And you won't see it on your range chart. So have your 30-minute chart running, and have your range chart running. Now, see the high that was put in today? What was it? 5,975. We failed to take out that high put in back on October 22nd. And that failure translated into this. So you learn to spot pockets of strength and weakness in the market by looking at the big picture. On the Dow, we drew in these two windows yesterday. This one we didn't even come close to. The Dow got above the lowest weekly zone. Now it's back below it. It's like some obsessive compulsive thing. It had to come down and touch the short target. Hit the long, hit the short. Now what I'm, based on history, almost 15 years, by the close today, price could be back at the lowest weekly zone or above. I know it looks like a long shot from here, right? Now, this low, the top of this window, see how it went like one tick into the window? Okay. I'm going to bet if you go look at your range chart, you didn't have a valid setup there. Okay. All right. Russell, again, lowest weekly trading zone. We got well above it today. Now we're back below it. Okay. We got below the lowest weekly zone early in the week, way down here. And we got back above it yesterday. We got back above it today. Leg, retrace, leg, and then wah wah. Okay. So did this window fill? Yes, sir, boss. Did this window fill? Not yet. I hope it doesn't. I'd like to see us close at the lowest zone or above. NQ rocket ship today. Here's where we opened last night. We dropped to the VBC, which we expect to be support. And then we bounced up to this high from yesterday, right here, see it? You got to expect that to be resistance until proven otherwise. And that sent us back to support. We even dipped below the BBC to touch the zone that was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Okay. Then we get above the BBC. Red and falling turns to blue and climbing. And we hit the target pretty much to the tick. Now, again, you had a couple of little attempts here. Now, I'm not saying you're never going to get stopped out on these. This one failed. But multiple time frames, okay? 2 minutes for the daily. Then on one screen, you got your 30-minute. And on your other screens, you've got your range charts where you actually trigger into the trade. Okay, we've covered all the indices. We're going to pause right now. And Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. Then we'll do some live trading on TradingView. Then I'll come back, finish that recap. We just got a couple more markets to cover. And we'll wrap up the week with our good word for the day.
Excellent.
And your screens look good.
Excellent. All right, here we go.
We dropping frames like a bad dog.
Are we really?
Yeah, I got to get to the bottom of this, man. I may just try OBS on Monday.
Yeah, it works. It works for everything else. It seems to work really, really well. So yeah, give it a shot. And the price is right. All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Hang on, Ron. wanted to go through and see. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 25th day of October, 2024. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button, and it's going to bring you to, hang on. Let me refresh this page and delete that one, and click on that, and it'll bring you to this page right here, right? That's got next week's information in it. On this page, all we ask for is your first name, your last name, your email, your phone number right here. If you have not, I'm sorry, fill out the multiple choice questions. And if you have NinjaTrader and you want to use NinjaTrader charts, give us your machine ID. If you do not plan to use NinjaTrader charts, we don't need your machine ID. If you're just going to trade on Ninja, that's fine. But we recommend you get TradingView, because TradingView has one of the indicators that we don't have on anything else that is critical to entering your trades. Gives you TradingView login ID once you get TradingView. Now, if you don't have TradingView yet, you can get it by going here from mytradingq.com. Just go to Trading Platforms and follow the instructions right here. All right, that will get you TradingView. You can click on this link right here, and that will get it for you. All right, you get a 30-day free trial with TradingView. You're going to need to pay $7 for real-time data with it if you're going to use futures data. Or you can hook up your own account to it. If you have one of these 73 brokers down here, you can hook up your own account to it and use the data that way. All right. As a matter of fact, many of those guys have their own hookup straight to TradingView. You can't get our indicators on that, so that's not going to work for you. But anyway, let's get into the trades. All right, today we had, let's get on to the bottom. This is January of 2013. Let's go down to 2024, October of 2024. Here we are today, October of 2024. We have a long month this month. We're going to have 23 business days this month. Can you believe that? Right? 22, 23, something like that. We're on the 19th business day right now. We have 1, 2, 20, 21, 22, 23 business days this month. This should definitely be our best month of the year. And we've had some pretty slow days here. I don't know, it might not be. Even though, in spite of us having 23 business days, we've had some days here where we haven't been hitting it out of the park. We started off with our best day of the year. And since then, it's been, well, I've been talking a lot and doing a lot of training. So I guess, anyway, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is Friday, the 25th day of October, 2024. We lost 4 ticks on the NQ. Now, we should have been up like 150, 200 ticks on the NQ, but I missed a whole bunch of trades right at the beginning. We ended up minus 25 on the Russell, plus 25 on the YM, and plus 16 on the ES. That put us at plus $180 overall on the morning session. Today it took with one contract, so we're up $1,800. So we're 10 contracts on it. Today it took 3 minutes and one trade to get to $1,000, and we took a total of 14 trades. So on the month now, we're $11,905. Again, that's with one contract on. Okay, one contract. So 19 business days, averaging $626 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year now, we're at $98,042. That's over 202 business days, averaging $485 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, the 2420 blueprint. If you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day and consistently get your goal for the day, the goal being $100 per contract, and add one contract per month, now you'd be at your 10th contract. And you would have only had, on the whole year, you would have only had to work 58.31 hours, and you would have averaged $2,806 per hour for those 58.31 hours. All right. Pretty darn good money if you can get it. Now, let's get into the trades that did happen, didn't happen, and all that. Wow, look at the YM move here. Now, we were watching it right in here. We got into it at the beginning here, and we're watching it going down. This was the leg length we were looking for. See that? Like clockwork, right? Leg length, leg length, leg length. And the pullback got a little deeper, and it never finished that last one. It got really close to finishing it. But let's start from the beginning. Okay, we'll start from the beginning over here on the YM. Our very first trade on the YM here, we picked up 5 ticks. Then we picked up another 5 ticks. Then we picked up 10 ticks in here. Before we stopped out, I think right in here, we got 10 more ticks, and that got us to 20. So we had 5 and 5 to 10. Then in here, we had 10 more. That got us to 20. And then we stopped out. That put us down to -5. And then we had a plus 30 right there. That was the one that we picked up right at the beginning of that huge move down. And we got 30 ticks out of that. That put us back to plus 25. Okay. There's one blue arrow missing in here. I believe it belongs right there. And that's what we did this morning. There was one more trade right here that I missed this morning at 11:07. I missed that one. I was going into the weekly trade, so that's why I didn't do that. I'm sorry. And there was another one over here during the break. Beautiful trade right there during the break. Another beautiful trade right there during the break. That had to put in a lower swing, so you couldn't really take that one. And then it hasn't done a thing since then. Okay, but some really nice trades in there. The Russell, we had just the one trade on the Russell right here, and that stopped us out. It did end up going in the right direction, but it stopped us out before it did. After that, let's see, there was one trade right here that I missed. Actually, it would have been back here, and I still missed it. Either way. They need to put in a lower swing before you could trade again. There was another one right here. Now that might have given you that was during the break. It might have given you enough to get your stop to break even, but probably not. It looks like it would have been a stop out. And that was it for the Russell. It hasn't done anything else since then. The ES, the ES is where we got our goal for the day. Now I did something a little bit different this morning. When I saw the ES trade coming on, I traded just the ES. Okay, I put it on and just traded the ES. I turned off all the other markets and just focused on the ES. And we got our 8 ticks profit on that one. That's where we got the goal for the day. Got a break even on that one. Then we got another 6 ticks on this one to get us to 14. And then we had 2 more ticks there to get us to 16. And that is how it all worked out for me today. Oh, look, we had another one there that I did not write down. I don't know what I got on that. I think I might have gotten 1 tick on that. And then we had a break even right there. Okay. And let's see, that brings us into here.
I got a lot of positive comments on the format and the way that you did it. So,
oh, did you?
Wise decision.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, I mean, I missed out on a lot on the NQ, but that's okay. We ended up getting some really good trades, and it was really easy to see and do. So that was good stuff. On the ES here, hang on. Let me slide this up and do that. All right. On the ES here, we had one short right here that looks like it would have been really close to stopping you out, but it did make a nice move down. And this is during the break now. Really nothing else. It's got a trade just about ready to go here, but it's not quite there yet. Now, the NQ. Now, when I went to that format this morning, the trades that I missed on the NQ are, hold it, they're all right in here. All right, when this started running up right here, there was this one right here at the open, this one, and this one. See, if I'd been focused on the NQ instead of the ES right there, we would have gotten all that stuff. It would have been up 136 ticks right there. But there was another one right here that I missed, and another one over here that I missed, and another one right here. Now this one might have stopped me out if I'd have taken it. We finally did get into one right here, and we picked up 24 ticks on that, I think. On the NQ, 28 ticks, okay. Then we looked at a bigger time frame, and this is where it suggested it was going to pull back too, and it did pull back there, and it kind of stayed there, right? Pulled back there, stayed there, and it bounced off it. Gave us one more trade over here, and we picked up 4 ticks on that to get us to 32, and then we got all the way over here, and it stopped us out to the tick. That put us at -4. We didn't get any more during the morning session, it doesn't look like. I didn't take any more during the morning session anyway. It was pretty choppy in there. It doesn't look like I actually gave any during the morning session. So then you get into the break, and it looks like this was a trade here that might have stopped me out to the tick, or would have given me 48 ticks. I don't know. I didn't get it, but this was a trade here, 48 ticks. This was not a trade going into the zone. This was a trade right here. You could see all 4 lines in a ribbon. That would have stopped me out. Then I wouldn't have gone long again because we didn't put in a higher swing, and it'd be turning around, and this would have been the last trade right here. That did put in a lower swing, so you could actually take this one right here if it were coming out of the overbought, but it's not. Now this morning we were looking at something else. You guys that were in the partners meeting last night, this morning we started to look at Tesla. Looked at a couple other things, but in Tesla, when we had it on 100 range this morning, we were looking for the opportunity to short in here. Now that opportunity never came, but this opportunity here to go long did come. All right, and I was actually looking at on 50 range. I think I had gotten an indication on the 50 range. It was somewhere in here during the break. Or maybe it was on 100 range. I don't know, but I redid that that sheet, this one, and if I hit refresh on it, you will see there is now a Tesla call that was in here, and it was 169 was the premium on it. And the price at the time was 266. We had a target of 268. And let's go back in here. So it's hit the target, and what we're anticipating was a gain. Let me see if I can go find that. We're anticipating a gain of, let's hang on, where was that? It was right here. We're anticipating, if it got to the 268 target, we're anticipating a gain of $94.80. So this 169 should have gotten up to just about 269 or 265, 260, somewhere right in that range. And I just want to show you, hang on. I added the strike column. I hadn't actually put that information in, but I added the strike column recently. And to do this, I have to go here to chains and click on that. This is the thing that I was doing wrong this morning. I figured it out. So the option that we were looking at, I believe, where are we right now with the price on this? On Tesla, price right now is at 268. It is this guy right here. Here it is. Hang on, I'll bring it over and show you. I think it was this guy right here. And it is currently at $3.60 is what you could sell it for right now. All right, that's what we were looking at earlier. And that was when we were looking at it from down here for it to get up to here by the end of the day. And you can see it's done what it should have done. Everything that we wanted to do. In this case right here, everything we wanted to do did happen. We were looking at the same thing here on the downside, but it never gave the trigger, never gave the final trigger to go short. Now, by the time it did cross down out of the overbought right here, the ribbon was wrong. Then when it came out of the oversold in here, the ribbon was right. So it gave a good opportunity to run up into that price level there at 268. Now, those of you guys that were in this meeting last night, you know what that's all about. And this spreadsheet that I created, it's actually run off of this spreadsheet that I input the data through, and then you just have to refresh this. And if I enter anything new, then the date down here will update it. Okay. Yeah, so that was interesting stuff this morning. We waited and waited and waited, and the Tesla never gave us the short, and then it gave us the long. So now we'll see if we have any trades in here that we can do. Remember, this thing right here on the Russell is not a range or anything like that. That is just kind of like a thing to help me count. There's a trade here on the Russell, by the way. That's a thing to help me count where my order needs to be. And right now my order needs to be right here, where it is. Okay. The last trigger was from over here, actually, and it put in a lower swing right there. So right here is where we should have entered. Right here where we did enter is where we should have entered. We have a perfect entry on this, and I think I go here and I hit the record on this one. All right, so this is the trade. Right here, we had the ribbon is all spread out. This last trigger where it came out of the overbought here did eventually put in a lower swing. After getting the lower swing, we need a price to pull back while the ribbon is still spread, get into the overbought and come out of the overbought. The down close here is the place you're going to sell. Now, what you anticipate out of this is that it's going to get at least down to this prior swing low, at least down here to 30.4. So 30.4 is right there. That's what you expect at a minimum out of this trade. Okay. Now the trade starts out, it's on a 19 range, so it starts out with a 25 stop, and that stop is in exactly the right place. So we just have to let this trade work itself out. All right, I don't know how long it's going to take, but it is now 1:12, so we still have 18 minutes left in this session to let this thing work itself out, and hopefully it will in those 18 minutes. Okay, in the meantime, over here on the YM, we do have a lower swing. We want that to pull up. Over here on the ES, we do have a lower swing. We want that to pull up. Okay, let's go back to the focus. This is our focus. This one market right here is our focus. Let me bring that down back up, and here it is. Okay, so we can just sit here and watch this. Now, I know it's not a whole lot of fun just sitting here just watching one thing, but this is what Dwayne was talking about when he said that people had commented and said they like this new format of me focusing
Yeah,
on one market
it
rather than
really
jumping
helps
around.
them to what you just said, focus. And
Yes.
over time, they'll learn that they'll be able to watch multiple screens just like you do. But by
Mhm.
honing in on one at a time and realizing that the same thoughts, ideas, rules, regulations, everything apply to every market, it'll just the clouds will part. It's really
Yes.
good, really good.
Okay. Well, while we're watching this, let's look at some other things that are associated with it.
Okay.
Okay. Everything that I always say about the leg lengths and all that stuff. You look at the leg length right here. Right. We just got down there far enough. We got to bump this stop to break even. So I'm going to hit the break even button. There it is. I'm going to lock in 10 ticks in profit on this one. We are down at the prior swing low. So when it gets down to the prior swing low, I'd like to trail my stop a little bit closer, okay? Because a lot of the times it's going to bounce right off that prior swing low. We're at plus 14 right now. But a lot of times it's going to bounce right off that prior swing low and pull back. And I don't want to lose that profit. So we just picked up 14 ticks in that trade right there. Okay, now the thing that I was going to go through and show you here was this. Let's do this. The retracement on that was exactly 50% on that leg down right there. Okay, exactly 50%. You guys hear me saying all the time about how I like to see the structure of the market when it does a retracement like that. That's really good structure of the market. So what would be good right now is for this to happen again like that. Okay, that's what you should see, and that's how it should come together. So that's kind of like an extension of my diamond principle right there. If you were to put the dot right over there, that's where it should land. Okay, does that make sense? You guys all see that? It should go down and pull back and end up down here in about this amount of time. That's what you should see right now. Okay, so we're able to get 14 ticks out of that last one, and I did record that day. And now we can go back and good. Well, you see where it should go. It should go down here to 26.2, right around in that area, right down there. Do we have any targets down there? We've gone through, well, 28.4. 28.4 is right here. So we're almost down to the next pivot, the next target level right there. It's 28.4. We're almost there. And this line here was drawn there for a reason yesterday or the day before. In the meantime, these two did not pull back deep enough to give us a trade setup. You know, these other two, the ES and the YM, I was looking at those for possible trades. Neither one of them pulled back deep enough to give us a trade setup. So 28. On the ES, we're hitting a zone. But yeah. On the Russell, we still got it. On the Russell, we're below the low zone, but you're getting to a point right now, 28.4 is the next pivot that it should find support at right here. So I got out with 14 ticks on that. I'm glad to hear you're still in it though. Good, excellent, nice trade. Nice trade. All right, so over here on the YM now, it's starting to pull back. We almost have a trade set up there. Over here on the ES, we need that to pull back to give us a trade setup. And over here on the NQ, well, we need the same thing. We need the same thing across the board, pretty much. Yeah, so that is that. We went through the weekly trading zone. 28.4 was the next pivot level, the next target level in here, right? 28.4. So we just hit that number. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see a bounce from here right now. This extended leg, this has not been a long enough leg yet, really. It's gotta go further to extend this length. But here, I'll stick that one out there for you, 2D. Hang on. And go here and here and attach. I don't know how long that one is, so. Hang on, I gotta do that. And give it a chance to catch up. Two minutes and 56 seconds is what it says. All right. What's that Twitter channel that you're putting that on? Gary wanted to know yesterday. I don't know if Gary's in here right now, but he wanted to know about that yesterday. It's a Twitter channel. Okay, let me just go out to his he wanted to see where these go. There. Okay. X.com. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. All right, yeah, Miles. If you're gonna stay in trades, you're gonna extend your stop. You're gonna be in trades longer. You know, there's other ways to do what. I don't know. You have to get something that's consistent for you, something that you're comfortable with, that's consistent for you. All right. Remember, if you're changing your stop constantly, you don't have a trading plan, and you should not trade with real money.
And I'm not weeping because I trailed a little too close on my Russell trade.
I don't even think about it.
Guys, that's what I'm saying. Don't ever think about money you left on the table. Just do the right thing, the way you're taught. And if you leave something on the table, that's a good thing.
It is. It is. So this leg length right here, turns out right now, is finally finished the leg length that we're looking for, right? So this is the leg length right here to here. And it's just finishing that up right now. Okay, from here to here. Right there. Just finishing that leg length up now. So the pullback in a nicely structured market, the pullback would be about 2 bar lengths. It'd be about up to here. Okay. And then your next leg length would be something like this. Right? In a nicely structured market, that's what you'd be seeing.
Because you would get a retracement up to the top of that purple bar that Michael just drew. And then another leg down to the bottom. Correct?
That's what I'm looking for. Yep. I'm looking
for
a retracement. This is what I think, what I want to have happen. Right? This is what I want to have happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I want it to retrace up to about here and then push back down this far, down to there. That's what I want to have happen. Now, this is the leg length that we're looking for it to complete, and it just did complete that leg length. So in a nicely structured market, and it looks like that's what we have right here, then we should get a pullback right now, a couple of bar lengths pullback, and then another push down. All right. If price is truly trying to satisfy, we're below the lowest weekly trading zone on the Russell, so it's not like we're heading to a weekly trading zone. But what we can do is look here, right? Look at these pivots here. So 22, 23.5, 23.5 right here is the next target level down. And if it did what I just said, right? If it has this 2-bar pullback and then a push down, 22, 23.5, 22, 23 is about where that would go to. It has a 2-bar pullback right here. Get you up here and then another leg down, the same thing. Be perfect symmetry and get you right here. All right. Now, if we extend that out, we can go up here and say, well, what about more targets? You can do that out to 5 targets like this. Okay. And so below that, you have both of these were really close. 23.5, 23.2, but the next one down is 17.9. So the next one down is right here. So let's just look at this.
We're getting that retracement. We're getting it. Looks it's strong.
We got a couple of them here, one on the YM and one on the ES right now. We have retracements. And we have a trade over there on the NQ too. The NQ is going into the zone, so that one's a little questionable. But on the YM, we have a high here of 387. So 387 down to 367 is what you'd be selling on that. All right, as long as the high stays there at 387. Now it's 88. And the ES, the high is up here at 61, 61 and a quarter. So you're going to be looking at 59 and a quarter on the ES. Now, if any of these fill, then we'll isolate to whatever market it is. But this is the first bar pullback that we're looking for over here. Okay, that's the first bar pullback that we're looking for there. And this one just went up a little bit higher over here. So now it's got a high here of 402. Should be looking at 82 now. Right, let me get rid of that one. And this one now has a high of 62.25. So we'll be looking at 60.25 on that one. Okay, am I still in the right place? I think so. I believe I am in the right place. So if whatever fills, we'll isolate to that market. Okay.
58.60 and a quarter is where you're at, right?
Yes, 58.60. Yep, 58.60 quarter. Now I'm going to go to half on that. 58.60 half. Okay, and over here on the YM, let me go to 83. Okay, so that's what we're doing right here, right now. Okay, we got the down close. What the heck? We got the down close right there. I'm going short right there at 61 quarter on the ES. What the heck happened with that? Did I not figure it right? 63. I didn't see it go up that extra tick, a couple of ticks. But I'm short right now, 61.25 on the ES. And I said I was going to isolate it if we filled. So we just filled on that. I'm going to slide this over and we'll isolate it to the ES right now. Okay, do that and that and that and that. And let me see if I can hit the record button. All right. So I'm hitting the record button here on the ES. Now it's a little bit late because this was the down close right here and it went 4 ticks into profit and I just bumped my stop to break even. Okay, so we're out of that trade. But what we anticipate is that this price is going to move down. Now look at that number right there. Price wants to get to that number, but the charts aren't giving us a reason for it to get to that number. So let's just mark that number. It's at 63. Okay, 63. That's right up here. Now there's no reason for price to go up there yet. But if you was that no? But if you got the short right here, I just bumped my stop to break even, so I'm out of it at break even. But it is going down, and it should go all the way down here to 54.50. Okay, 54.50. That's way down here. No, I'm going to delete all of that because I was already in and out of that trade. My DOMs are in the wrong place. Let me slide that over there, and that over there, and that over there. And let's see if we got anything else triggered in here. We're looking for the YM to trigger, and the YM did trigger right here at 83. Okay. I didn't have the order on. I took it off when I isolated to the ES, but I just put it on because it hasn't gone 10 ticks in profit. So now we can isolate to the YM. Okay. And, oops, that's not what I want to do. I want to isolate to the YM. Here we go. Click on this. There it is. And so now what we're anticipating here on the YM is for it to move all the way down here to the low at 345. Now my target is just beyond that. So we'll see what we get out of this. All right. This pullback right here, much like the last pullback that we were looking at, and I think we were looking at it on, was it the YM or was it the Russell we were looking at a minute ago? It was the Russell, I think, right? Much like that one, this one has done a nice retracement of the leg down. It's gone a little bit beyond the midpoint being right here. It's gone a little bit beyond the midpoint. But it's still in a good position to move down right here where it is, right? So we will just put that where it is and let it go. This should have a 25 tick stop, and it does. All right, so we're going to leave that the way that it is. And the ES, if you got into the ES and you stayed in longer than me, you would be out now. You would have trailed. It would have come back and gotten your stop at some kind of profit or break even. Okay, now let me look over here. The NQ, it looks like the NQ had a trade back here. Not really because it was going into the zone, but it came out of the overbought, so it needs to put in a lower swing before you have another trade in that direction. Okay, so the only thing I have going on here is the YM. Now, I'm not going to look at other futures right now. I'm just going to go out here and look at this equity right here. Okay, and see what we got. So right here, right now, looking at all the stuff that we were looking at, this has got, I would have to go out, because it's 1:28 in the afternoon. I wouldn't want to do anything that expires today. We'd have to go for November 1st, I think. But 67.27, and it's got a target up here at 69. So if I go and get my sheet back out, and we do a little bit of math on that, we'll say Tesla again, and this is going to be a call. We'll do it right here. We'll do Tesla again, TSLA, and this is going to be a call, and the current price on this is 67. Is that right? 267. 267.44. 267.44. Okay, and the price target on that, watch the YM over there. The YM starting to come together. The price target on that is going to be up here at 269.15. 269.15. And now I'll go and get this information. All right, we got to watch this here. It's just about to go to break even. There it goes. There it goes. All right, let me focus on that for a minute. All right, let's go back over here, and we'll go to just one. Oops.
And I just exited my ES trade.
Excellent. All right, so on this, we're going to lock in 10 ticks right now on the YM, and it should get all the way down here to pricing with 345. Okay, at 345 is what it should get down to. Now I have a target that is just beyond that, and it just took me out with 10 more ticks. Okay, well, I think we got that just fine. All right, we did. I'll stop the recording on that right now. I was actually doing the recording of the other table that I was putting together too, but I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to stop the recording right here for the YM trade. Okay, we picked up another 10 ticks on the YM.
Because you're about out of time.
Oh crap! I didn't even notice that.
Oh, I'm not in a hurry, so.
Okay, well, I kind of am. Okay. I have been told. Jada has a surprise that begins. I'm not to take any meetings this afternoon.
I saw an email come through from Fredericks of Hollywood. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
I know. I know. Actually, I think it's the couples massage is what I think it is.
Oh, that would be nice.
I think that's what she's got planned for us. But all right, so let me get into this. I wanted to finish filling out that sheet for the long on the Tesla too. I'll go check that out in a minute. Let me just say this part about not that, and I'm not going to use them. There's another one that I found. It's pretty good. That's in the list. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on the purple button, and when you do, it's going to bring you to this registration page. First name, last name, email, phone number. Fill out the multiple choice. Give us your TradingView login ID. Okay, your TradingView login ID right there.
And your
Click
trial will
register.
run all the way through next Friday.
It will. It will run all the way through next Friday. There was someone who signed up right at the beginning of this session, right before noon today. And I sent them an email saying, give me your information, because they didn't give me the information. So if you give me the information, we'll get your trial going and it'll be good for a whole week. All right. That is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Yeah, I don't think they have my size either.
Okay, recap of the morning session.
Today it took 3 minutes and 1 trade to get to $1,000.
Great way to end the week.
It sure is.
All right, guys, we'll pick up where we left off. Crude. Now, I've already covered all the other markets, the indices. If you missed it, it'll be archived on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/CFRN. So this was the open last night. Vertical line separates Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. See, when price moves up to a zone, we expect resistance to prove otherwise. When it drops to a zone, we expect support to prove otherwise. So resistance to support to resistance. And then we overshot the zone here a little bit, but then we came back, consolidated at the zone, found support at the zone, and then resistance at the zone. Remember, 70% of the time you're going to consolidate. So on this particular move, now this happened around 6 o'clock this morning Eastern. You had the perfect stack: price, step line, blue and climbing, BBC. And look what price did. Boom, right up to the target. Overshot it a wee bit. And then it spiked the zone, and now it's just kind of consolidating there. 7150/55. We're actually trading 63. Gold. Okay, we opened last night, and remember, all members and trial members had these targets right at the open, 6 p.m. Eastern, on the spot. And you had to go over the day pretty quick. We dropped right down to the short target. Then we traded through the zone, okay, and we found support right here, okay, which is this here. If you look right over here, you've got a bullish cross that created this support and ultimately created this support, which pushed us back up to the zone and to that short target. Once you trade through a short target, price will typically retrace back to it and quite often become, in this case, resistance, which sent us down to the zone of the tick, 2729/2730. Support will always send the market looking for resistance, and lo and behold, it found it at the zone, 2753/54. Okay, you can learn to read these charts. Okay, you're never gonna know what's gonna happen next with 100% accuracy. However, you can learn to know what the next high probability move is. It's not magic, it's not voodoo, it's just learning. And I don't know anybody else that will actually teach you what we teach you as far as reading a chart, but I don't know. I'm sure there's always a faster gun. So there's bound to be somebody out there better at it than me. But I'll teach you what I can. Now, if price were to keep rising, okay, We got this high right here. That's potential resistance. I don't think we actually tagged it. We came a little shy. But let's say Sunday night price starts rallying on crude. This is Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. We had a bearish cross. Red line got below the green line. So Sunday night, if crude starts, I'm sorry, gold. If gold starts rallying, always be conservative. Like 27.61. Okay. Every dollar in price that gold moves is worth $100 per contract. With crude, a $1 move is worth $1,000 per contract. With silver, a $1 move is worth $5,000 per contract. Okay. Okay. Well, what do we got left? Silver. Here's where we opened. We had blue and climbing that pushed us up into resistance. Remember, the pullback holds more often than not, whether it pulls down from above or pulls up from below, like this. That resistance sent us looking for support, which we found. We spiked the short target right down to that low right there. See that? And then that gave us a double bottom right here. Boom. That support sent us back to resistance. This time resistance sent us all the way to the zone. The zone published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And when you become a member, you're going to have access, okay, to those zones every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Now, look at the high in silver today. See the bearish cross yesterday? That's pretty much to the tick. In fact, that's why I put the long target there, because I expected resistance where the bearish cross took place. And it did. And it sent it down to support at the BVC, where it's trying to bounce. In order to trade long, you need to overcome the step line. You need to overcome blue and climbing. So something like 3409 to 3419. That's a dime or $500 per contract traded. It only takes 2 pennies in silver to get your goal for the day. Now, let's get in the Wayback Machine and go to the beginning of the broadcast, when we first looked at the daily chart. Remember, it was green about halfway up. I talked about what would happen if price kept climbing. And if you missed this, you owe it to yourself to go back and watch it on the YouTube channel. Okay? I said, if we close this session at or near the low of the day, or at the BBC with red falling overhead, look, it's turning red. The candle itself, the body, is turning red now because we're below where we opened. We opened and ran up, hit resistance at red and falling. Now we're printing red. Okay? So you got potential support at the daily BBC, yesterday's low, Thursday low, and then the Wednesday low is right at the 24% fib extension. And if we take out that 24% fib extension, or the low of Wednesday, then there's like a vacuum all the way down to the lowest fib extension, also known as the low of October 8th. Okay? I hope you guys can see how this all comes together. Okay? You see what the deep pockets are doing, right? But you trade what's in front of you. The 30-minute gives you guidance, like a roadmap. And the smaller range charts allow you to enter with like surgical precision. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see remember how we close today. Very important for the open Sunday night. And if you take the trial, Make sure you follow all the instructions in the email you get, because you want to be logged into Telegram and the channels that Valerie gives you access to, because alerts will start flying Sunday night. Okay? All right. I guess that's it. If you've seen enough and you just want to be a member, email support@cfrn.net. In the subject line, put "I'm ready to become a member." Valerie will send you the instructions. Then once you become a member, she'll send you all kinds of stuff. Okay? Don't lose it. Put it in a folder somewhere, because you're going to need it. If you have any questions, call 949-42-EMINI. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. All of our members get 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day, plus private one-on-one mentoring at no extra charge. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder, are fluid across all markets and all time frames. So what you just saw Michael doing with futures, and he was showing options there for a while. Price flow is the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETF, options. I mean, it's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Plus, you get the Logic 247 alerts I showed you around the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts every night when they're published shortly after the Globex Open. You'll get the weekly trading zones Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. And you're able to attend the members only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Plus, you get the key to the vault, where we've got tons of previous workshops. You can watch them if you want. Do you need to? All you really need to do is just show up every day. Show up every day to the live training room and ask questions. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Why do you call it that? Whatever pops into your head, just ask. Your questions are not an interruption. They're the purpose that we even have a live training room. Okay, our good word for today: intimacy versus activity. Luke 10:42. But one thing is necessary. Mary has made the right choice, and it will not be taken away from her. When Jesus visited the home of Mary and Martha, their individual response to him were very different. Martha's focus was on the meal. Her aim was to please Jesus. But she made a common mistake. Her work became more important than her Lord. What began as a serving experience became a self-serving one. She forgot that the meal was to honor Jesus, not her. She said, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." That's in Luke 10:40. And what did Jesus say? "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has made the right choice, and it will not be taken away from her." Luke 10:41. And what had Mary chosen? Intimacy with Jesus. The danger of religious activity is that sometimes it's designed to make us feel good about ourselves and look good in front of others. Choosing activity over intimacy also happens to people who love the Lord but aren't necessarily involved in church work. It's amazing how many bright, successful people reach the point of burnout because they have neglected their relationship with God. They never intended to. It's just that they have learned to make it on their own and haven't been forced to rely on him. Now, I grew up going to church here in America, and they were great people. It was a small town in Georgia, but they were very religious. The Bible would have called them, or Jesus would have probably called them, stiff necked. Okay? But they were just doing what they had been taught to do. Now, with people who are wealthy, maybe you're born into wealth, maybe you're a trust fund baby, or maybe you just made a lot of money early in life and you've never really had to, worry. So you've never had to actually depend on God. Now, the church I grew up in, those people, they really loved God. I can't deny that. But when I went to Africa and encountered the poorest of the poorest of the poor, they were filled with joy unspeakable. Those religious people at my grandmother's church, they loved God, but they were kind of grumpy. But they all had businesses and homes and money in the bank, gas in the tank. But the people I met in Africa, some of them only had one change of clothes. But I tell you what, when it came time to go to church, they showed up shining, and I couldn't, my first trip there, I, I wanted to say to some of them, what are you so happy about? You don't even know where your next meal's coming from. That's how backwards my thinking was. I was the big American hero. I was coming to save the day. Those people saved my life. Well, Jesus saved my life, but these people saved how I live my life. Because they were forced to rely on God. Because they didn't have money. Some of them didn't have a home. Some of them, I'll never forget, one morning on the way to church, we stopped at this little mud hut. I'm serious, it was a little mud hut. And out came this guy, an African guy. He had one white shirt to his name. But that thing, it was almost blinding. It was so white and bright and ironed and starched. How he did that in a mud hut, maybe he sent it out. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is he came out of that hut looking like $1,000,000 with this big smile and got into the car. Good morning, brother. I mean, that trip changed my life so much. And one of our members, Gary, he just took a uh, mission trip to Guatemala to visit an orphanage there. We didn't know what we were going to find when we first went to Africa. We'd been sending money for years to build an orphanage and getting pictures back, on an almost daily basis. I bought Pastor Chris one of the very first digital cameras that came out. That thing it was a Hewlett Packard that weighed like 5 pounds, but he could send us pictures that way. And so when we got there, we didn't really know what we was going to find. In fact, as we were going up the hill, me, my wife, my pastor, his wife, and a couple others that were on the trip with us, we were holding hands praying, God, please let there be an orphanage. When we crest the top of this hill, and there was. And there were all these children lining the road singing, Welcome to New Hope, Welcome to New Hope. And I wept like a baby. Good weeping. We had sown into good soil. We met Pastor Chris and his wife Agnes. Um, just long story, you've all heard it before. That was back in 2000. Now my godson, who has my name, my namesake, he lives with us. He just turned 18. Got a job. Gonna be looking for his own place pretty soon. Man, God can do so much with your life if you'll just let Him. Just let Him. Say, God, maybe I've been a little stiff-necked. Maybe I've always had money and never had to rely on You for my next meal. But Lord, give me that heart. I'm not asking for that situation, but give me that heart. Give me that spirit that puts all my trust, not in men, not in banks, not in stocks, but in You. The fact that Jesus chose intimacy over activity teaches a very important lesson. Until you put your relationship with God at the center of your life, you will struggle to find your true purpose, enjoy the fruit of your labors, and experience God's peace and joy. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Oh, and you know what? That same thing's going to happen where I play the disclaimer. I'm not going to be able to hit the button. Oh, maybe I can because it popped. Oh, I can. Okay, here we go. Rock and roll.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.